Live in a moment. There we are. We are live. This is the Saturday service. It is February the 1st, 2025. This is officially service number 251. I'm Rabbi Brian. I'm glad that you're joining. I am joined by a group of people, and I have the technology working this week, folks, so that's exciting. So look, here are the people. There are people. People, please wave. Say hi to the people on Zoom. If you're watching a recording afterwards, thank you for joining. Okay, I can put that screen away. There we are. I have a topic that I want us to talk about today. And I want us to talk about hope. I suspect, and I do not know, I suspect that hope and or optimism is what I could use these days. Much like 2 weeks ago, we put a quote up and we thought it was a lovely quote until we looked at it deeply and we said, no, this quote's actually crap. I don't want us to just say, yeah, we all should have hope. Maybe not. And let's figure out what hope is. So we have a theme for today. The theme for today is hope. I suspect hope will help. I have on my sweatshirt today that says hopeless romantic. And I want us to just start right there. Just with the idea of hopeless romantic. Can you tell me some other phrases that use the word hope? What are some other phrases you know that have the word hope in it?
Hope for the best.
Hope for the best. Wonderful.
Hope springs eternal.
Thank you, Neola. Hope springs eternal.
Hope you feel better soon.
Yeah. Perfect one. That we hear that all the time. Hope you feel better soon.
Oh,
Where there's life, there's hope.
Where there's life, there's hope.
Hope all is well.
Hope all is well. Yeah, I hope all's well. Anyone remember Don? Say it again.
Oh. Hope springs eternal.
Yeah, we hear that. Hope springs eternal. And that can tell us something about what hope is. If it's something that springs eternal, it goes along with hope gets dashed. It was dashed hope.
Yeah.
So we're already learning some things about hope, and we're gonna talk more. Good morning. Glad all of you are here. I'm thinking about.
Candace,
Go ahead, Candace.
In the Greek, I think it's a Greek myth about Pandora. When she opened the box and all the evils in the world flew out, and there was one thing left in the box, and that was hope.
Yeah. Oh. So that sounds like a really lovely story, and I'm going to bash that right now.
Okay.
It's a great story, right? So so the Greek creation story has Prometheus, has Pandora and Epimetheus. I can't remember the guy's name. Pandora also, and so the biggest issue I have with this story is it does the same thing that the Hebrew Bible does, which is it blames evils on women, which is the second biggest tragedy. In the other one in the Hebrew Bible is the Hebrew Bible's first lie is that men create life, that all life came from Adam.
Okay.
And that's just silliness. But let me get back to the story about hope. So in the story, Pandora's given a jar. She's told not to open it. She opens it, and out comes fire and all these terrible, terrible things. Not that fire is a terrible thing. And she closes the jar. She opens it again, and out comes pestilence and famine and war and all these other things. She closes the jar. And then she hears a voice. And I want to be very kind to your inner 10-year-old who first heard this story as a beautiful story. And she hears a voice inside that says, please, please, please let me out. You let everyone else out. Please let me out too. And she opens it, and out comes hope. Still a nice story, except when you take Nietzsche's approach to it, which is also a Buddhist approach to this story, which is that hope is the worst of all the evils. Because hope gives you the sense that the world can be other than it is.
Right.
Oh,
Okay.
but recently I heard talking about what is the difference between hope and optimism.
Well, so that's exactly where we're going to go today. That's exactly where we're going to go.
I won't spoil it for you.
Well, tell us what you hear? What'd you hear? So we can hold that in.
Optimism is the belief that the world is getting better and better, but hope is the belief that together we can help make it better.
Wonderful, wonderful. I want to get to these two words that get used interchangeably, but I want to get to Mary first. Go ahead, Mary.
Okay. When I read the what we were going to talk about today, the plan, I wrote something down. Optimism is looking at the glass as half full. Hope is seeing the glass as potentially overflowing.
Oh, wow. I love that. I love that. So let me ground rule us with an idea. And I'm going to start with this, is that jealousy and envy, these are two different things. They both stem from seeing somebody has a thing that you don't have. When I have taught this in the past, that the way that I learned it first was that jealousy is seeing somebody has something that you don't have and figuring out how to get it. Envy is seeing somebody has something that you don't have, so you take it away from them. But there's some people who do it this way and say envy is when you see somebody has something that you don't have and you want to get that yourself, and that jealousy is the opposite. So I'm very aware that the words hope and optimism, because I also have been looking into this, hope and optimism are used often interchangeably to mean when one person's talking about hope, they're talking about the other person's optimism. One person's talking about optimism, they're talking about the other person's hope. So we're going to have to be very careful as we build on figuring out what we mean by hope and what we mean by optimism, is to make sure that we're not getting that we're using the word we want to use at the time we want to use it. Go ahead, Bob.
I think that there's two kinds of hope. One of the kinds is, I hope that I can do something. The other one is, I hope other people can do something. I have control over the one where it's addressed to me.
That I hope that I can do something, and you have agency over yourself. Wonderful. Go ahead, Jack. It looks like we're diving straight in hard this morning. I love this. Good morning. Go ahead.
Yeah. Optimism is the superlative of good.
Jack, that probably is right, but I have no idea what that means yet.
Well,
Optimism is the superlative of good.
What's superlative mean?
Yeah.
Help us with superlative.
Good, better,
what does
best.
that mean? Good, better, best.
Good, better, best.
Okay.
And best and optimism mean the same thing.
Same Latin root.
Opto is a Latin word for goodness.
So optimism is a
You can look it up.
superlative. I believe you.
Good.
Buddy. Superlative of good. Optimism is the superlative of good. Good, better, best, optimistic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Wow. Okay. I really was just going to scratch the surfaces and then we're going to do something else, but we are deep in already. Go ahead, Dan.
I'm just saying that bit was basically an argument from etymology that I don't think necessarily implies what they mean in English. You know. That if
just because that's what the word
comes from a Latin word that means a certain thing, it doesn't mean that's what it means in English. So we should be careful about those arguments.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, everyone pause. And by that, I mean me. Before we continue our dive into hope and optimism, few follow-ups from last week. Last week, I gave you a homework to contact 2 people who would be delighted to hear from you. I'm just curious. There's no judgment from me that I feel. You might feel like I'm being judgmental. I'm really hoping not to be. Just curiously, because I'm trying to figure out how to be the rabbi of a group on the internet like this. There's not a lot of template, so I'm trying to figure this out as we do it. I gave an assignment to contact 2 people who would be delighted to hear from you. Can I see a show of hands? And I won't broadcast, so it's only the people who are in Zoom who will be able to see the answer. How many of you contacted 2 people last week? So or 1 person, that's fine. So a fair number of people. Okay, that's wonderful. I don't know what I can give a homework assignment, but whether or not you do it, that's up to you. But it looked to be about half-ish, maybe a little bit more of people who did it. How'd it go? I want to follow up with you. I got some thumbs up. And we heard earlier in the first half hour, we heard from Emily about the beautiful conversation she had with her niece. Okay, so I'm not going to not give homework. Fantastic. The other homework that I wanted to revise. I changed the name of it is to Rabbi Brian's Guide to Less Mindless Eating in 2025. I don't want you to have to do mindful eating. That feels a little woo-woo for me. But Rabbi Brian's Guide to Less Mindless Eating in 2025. And the Guide to Less Mindless Eating in 2025 is a very simple idea. No new food goes into the mouth if there's still food in the mouth. And we'll check next week to see how it goes. I had a very hard time with this rule, eating barbecue baked potato chips. I kept wanting to put the next one in my mouth before the first one was gone. But it's really helping me get a little bit, okay, I dare say it. It helped me get a little bit more mindful about the fact that I'm feeding this thing. And I don't want to do that haphazardly. I want to do that with a little bit of thought. Anyone have anything they want to comment on about eating less mindlessly by not putting food in their mouth? Go ahead, Harold. I know we made the exception for you because of your bullying as a child and having to eat it like a vacuum cleaner. So go ahead, Harold.
So after you gave me the exception, I said, well, I'm going to try this. And it's one of the hardest things I've ever done. So,
just to slow down your eating?
About 25% of the time, I make it happen. The rest of the time, it's out of control.
Okay, wait. Slow down. That's amazing that you got to 25% of the time. You're going from none to 25% of the time. Kudos to you.
Well, I'm working on it, but I think you're right. I think you're right. Slowing down does a lot of things for you. It extends the table time for conversation. It allows you to respond without your mouth full or so. Yeah, I think it's a good deal.
Any chance you can restate that sentence instead of you with an I?
Oh, I find it very helpful to be able to talk to people without a mouthful of food.
Nice.
Excellent.
Excellent. Go ahead. I'm looking for
before you open your mouth a second time.
Oh, that might be. Go ahead, Rand.
I was just going to jump in and say that's one of the hardest things that I personally struggle with is because I had the same thing as Harold. It was eat for football, eat for baseball, eat for wrestling. But with my mother, so my parents were divorced when I was very young, and when I was with my mom, she would eat very mindfully. She would eat very slowly, chew each bite. I think she said 32 or 36 or 30, something like that
Yeah.
times. And then my
37
father,
times.
on the other hand, had very pronounced anxiety, and we would go into a restaurant and wolf down. Come on, you're taking too long. Come on, let's go, let's
Yeah.
go. And that kind of turned into an anxiety that I have as an adult now, and Holly can vouch for this. I'll be sitting there eating my food, and I'll have this mini panic attack where I can't swallow my food, and it'll just kind of get stuck in my throat. Yeah, so it's kind of neat that you're touching on this, and thank you for that.
Yeah. Folks, life is scary enough. There's enough to do. Let's enjoy the potato chips if we're going to eat potato chips.
Way to go.
Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Amen.
Okay. Lori, I'm going to bounce it over to you for a section we like to call Lori's Learnings. Go ahead, Lori.
Okay. I found on Facebook, I found this, I think it's, I don't know if it's a prayer or not, but I found a prayer that I thought was very timely. It's about hope, and I wanted to read it. I hope you find comfort that is soft as a blanket. I hope you find peace that's like a long, cool sigh. I hope you find grace that holds you gently in your hardest moments, sending beams of love to all the brave hopers.
Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have commentary on it, Lori?
Well, I was also reading a book about our thoughts in the background of our mind, and this person was saying that it's about optimism, how we read the thoughts that come in the back of our minds that are constantly blabbing back here. We have the idea was that we have control over those thoughts. We don't have control over reality when bad things happen, but we do have control over the thoughts. And that made me think about an optimistic idea of life. And he also said that if the thoughts are negative, we don't have to listen to them. Just acknowledge them and let them float by as a means of dealing with them. Don't say in your head, oh, that's not true, that's not, just let it float by, acknowledge it for what it is, and move on. So I thought that was interesting, because in this whole thing about optimism, I think optimism in the way that we've defined it is still very important, because I think how we process those ideas is important. And if we process thoughts in a positive way, which we have control over,
right,
it changes our outlook on life, and I think then it moves us towards hope and action, because we've said that hope is more about action.
So, Lori, I love the idea, but I think if we're gonna do it, we need to also be very mindful that if we can't figure out how to slow down our eating, it's going to be really hard to figure out how to accept a thought without believing it.
Yeah.
Right? The same way that it's going to take practice to slow down our eating, it's going to take practice to do anything. It's going to take us practice to live with some of these thoughts we don't like.
Yeah.
Do you have more, Lori? Because I have a quote that goes exactly with what you're saying.
Oh, go ahead. That's okay. The other thing was less about hope. So put your quote in. That's good.
So here's a quote from Jacob Needleman. he said, freedom is the ability to choose where I place my attention.
It's not reason.
It's not easy to do. I think that's where we're going to get to with hope. I have a beautiful quote about hope. I'm looking for, and I don't know, I'm missing a quote. So let me move my attention from my frustration. Can I even do that? No, I'm still frustrated. I can't find the quote. There's a great quote. Janie got a quote from the coach at the gym, and I'm going to try to reconstitute what he said. And it was finally something that moved me in the direction from despair. And he said, motivation is nice, but it has nothing to do, it can't hold a candle to determination.
Mhm.
Once you've decided to do something and you're committed to do something, you say, I don't care if it's hard. I'm going to do it anyway. Thank goodness it's difficult. It gives me a chance to show how strong I am. That's helping me right now to understand this world is, do I have work in front of me? Yes. Do we all have work in front of us? Yes. Will it be easy? No. But we're going to do it anyway. We're going to do it anyway because it needs to be done and we are strong enough to do it.
Would you repeat the coach's?
I sure wish I could find the coach's email.
Well, you said motivation is nice.
He says motivation is nice, but it doesn't get us there. It's dedication that gets us there. Dedication is what gives us the power to say, it's hard and I'm going to do it anyway. It's difficult and fuck that, I can still do it.
Yeah.
Is this going to be easy? No. Is it going to be much harder than I had wished it would be? Yes. But there's that great podcast and show and book called We Do Hard Things. Is it going to be easy? No. But can we do hard things? Yes. We're built for this. When I find the coach's quote, I will send it out to the email list so you all see it.
I put it in the chat.
Did I send it to you?
No, I just wrote down what you said.
Oh, okay. If I sent Coach Joey's words to anyone, if you'd put those in the chat, I'd appreciate it. I know sometimes I posted it on Instagram, didn't I?
Holly already
sure-
looked it up and put it in the chat.
Holly, was that from Instagram?
No,
Oh,
I
you're
just
on.
wrote down what you said. Motivation is nice, but it can't hold a candle to determination.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to boot up my Instagram account because I think it might be worth it. In the meanwhile, while I'm looking for that, I'm going to ask you all. Yes. Yay, Instagram. Here it is. While we're doing this, here it is. It says this. Let me post it. Oh, yay. Here it comes. Please hold. Here. Motivation is useless. Discipline gets you there. When shit is hard, say fucking good. Now I'm going to do it in spite of that. Now I get an opportunity to overcome this. Set my sights on doing this, and I am doing it because it is hard. As soon as I adopt this, and it takes a while to click in again, to say I worked through the hardest part. How many hard things do I actually do? Strength is a skill, like learning to paint is a skill. How many things am I actually trying to learn right now? Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, when people tell me to please hold, I tell them I don't have any monkey bars.
And if you're looking for another clever thing to say, often they ask me, do you mind if I put you on a brief hold? And I will say, I love to be held.
Love it. Oh,
Thank you, Bob. Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, I just, I don't know. I want to put in a voice in for healthy self-compassion as well. Like saying motivation is useless seems a little hard to me. I like my
Fair.
motivation. My motivation can lead to determination for something that I'm willing to do. But there are times when I'm not strong enough to do whatever it is I'm determined to do, and I want to have self-compassion for myself then too.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's add self-compassion in. Let me put everyone on the screen for a moment. Folks, on a scale of I'm doing awesome at self-compassion to I'm not doing awesome at self-compassion right now, where are you at right now?
Where?
All the way to up top is I'm pretty able to be compassionate to myself right now. Okay?
Right, yeah.
And if your hand's down at the bottom and you're having a hard time being compassionate to yourself, I'm going to try something. We all see you. We all see that you had your hand down at the bottom of the screen. And our hearts are with you. And if you can't be compassionate to yourself, maybe you can let us be compassionate to you. And you can
That's
get
nice.
a little flicker. Thank you, Neola, for agreeing. I think that's nice too. So if you had your hand at the bottom of the screen, know that we have compassion for you. We've got a little bit extra. Changing gears back to hope. I have another quote I want to bring up. And again, it's going to use the words optimism and hope differently. Is a longer quote. This is from Václav Havel, who was I believe, Czechoslovakian dissident for years and then became prime minister. And he was in prison for a long while.
And a
He wrote
playwright.
this. And a playwright. Oh. The kind of hope... Again, let's be careful when he's using the word hope and optimism here. They might not line up with the way you use those words. The kind of hope I think about, especially in situations that are particularly hopeless, such as prison or the state of the world at this moment, I understand above all else is a state of mind, not a state of the world. So the hope that I think about is a state of mind, not a state of the world. Either we have hope within us or we don't. It's a dimension of the soul. It's not essentially dependent on some particular observation of the world or estimate of the situation. Hope is not dependent on a particular observation of the world. Hope is not prognostication, right? It's not thinking that things will go well. It's an orientation of the spirit, an orientation of the heart. Hope transcends the world that is immediately experienced and is anchored somewhere beyond its horizons. Hope, in this deep and powerful sense, is not the same as joy that things are going well, or willingness to invest in enterprises that are obviously headed towards early success, but rather an ability to work for something because it is good, not just because it stands a chance to succeed. Let's take another moment just to look at that quote. There's a lot in there. Hope is an orientation of the spirit, an orientation of the heart. It transcends the world that is immediately experienced and is anchored somewhere beyond the horizon. Hope is not the same as joy that things are going to go well or a willingness to invest in enterprises that are obviously headed towards early success, but rather hope is an ability to work for something because it is good, not just because it stands a chance to succeed.
Yeah.
I really like that last part.
Tell us a little bit more, Meg.
Well, that rings a bell with me in terms of I have to be willing to work for something because it is good. And that's really, I feel like where we are now is, and for the first time, I have read several things on hope. And everybody seems to be saying that hope involves work. And I hadn't gotten that before. But here, that explains to me why hope involves work. Whatever.
Yeah. Thank you, Meg. Hope is not so easy. It's not just, it's something Larry says about hope, and then I got you, Carol. Larry says about hope that hope is something we have to choose. He said it's a decision, like an incision. It's like a cutting. It's something that has to be chosen, that we have to choose hope. Meg is giving me a solid no. Talk to me, Meg.
I don't understand that because I can't go out and say, I choose hope. I feel it. When I have hope, there's a feeling, and it isn't something that I have intellectually sought and decided upon.
Okay. I mean, Larry could be wrong. Let's hear from Carol.
I think this is a magnificent quotation, and I think it's what's been missing in the difference between optimism and hope. Optimism is in the same way like pleasure, something that comes and goes. It's an emotion. Hope is a state of the soul, and it's rooted in a sense that it's not finally up to me, but it is a gift that is given to me, and I have to work with it. And there's a wonderful story by Viktor Frankl. He was in a truck with prisoners that were being taken to be gassed. And he said to one of them, let me look at your hand. Oh, you're going to go home to your wife and your children are going to go to law school. Then he looked at the next prisoner's hand, and he went around the whole truck. And finally, the driver said, oh, I have the wrong truck. I better take them back. They're not supposed to be gassed.
Oh, my gosh.
It's a true story.
Wow.
Hope is an energy. Go on. What were you going to say, Brian?
I was just going to say I got chills, and I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, it's okay. I just think hope is a powerful force, and it's a gift, from God.
Can we choose? Is there anything we can do to merit more hope or to gain more hope?
It's not a question of merit. It's a question of openness. When you are open to the wonder of being alive, you will have hope. The fact is, it took 13.8 billion years for us to be created. Every day is an incredible gift. And when we know that, we can't not have hope.
I love that. Carol, I just heard something, and they said I think we posted it as there was a Snoopy meme that you only live once is not right. You live every day. You only die once.
Good.
It's being awake, being aware. Go ahead, Ron.
Well, I was saving this poem, but I want to do it for Poetry Room, but I just want two stanzas that show the difference between hope and optimism. Hope, a fragile flame that flickers in the dark, a whisper in the storm, a tiny spark. It lives within the heart, a silent plea, a beacon in the night, though you can't quite see. Optimism, a sunlit path that seems so clear, a confident belief, no room for fear. It paints the future bright with colors bold, a steady hand that guides, a story told. And that captures for me the difference between hope and optimism.
And I don't think it's like envy and jealousy that one's good and one's bad.
No.
I think we can strive to have We can strive to have hope and optimism both. That would be a lucky combination.
One's
okay,
in.
We're gonna.
Yeah.
We're gonna break.
Can I say
Go
one
ahead,
thing,
Hugh.
Brian?
Hugh, I would love for you to say even more than one thing.
I'm just thinking about, about extrinsic and intrinsic motivation.
Okay, wait, slow down. Extrinsic motivation is if you do this, I'll give you a cookie. Intrinsic motivation is I'm going to do this thing so that I feel better.
Right. And I think there's a distinction to be made between the motivation to do something because we know it will make a difference in the world versus doing something because we know it's the right thing to do and it's consistent with our core values. And we will do it regardless of whether or not it makes a difference in the world. If we get disgruntled because we don't see the results of our labors, then that's extrinsic motivation, and that's not hope. I think when I think about hope, for me, it's an action. It's a verb. Yes, Meg talked about it being a feeling. It's partly a feeling, but it's not just a feeling. It's an embodiment of a core value of mine. If I believe that justice and inclusion and compassion are important in the world, I'm going to embody those core values all the time, regardless of whether I see the outcome of that. See, we, I'm not sure that the way I live is going to make the world a better place. I think that it probably does in small ways, but I'm going to live that way regardless of whether I see the fruits of my labors. That is living in hope because it's intrinsically motivated. It comes from inside. It doesn't depend on the seeing the results of how I choose to live. And that's a distinction there. I think in my mind, that's kind of a difference between optimism and hope.
Again, I don't want to denigrate one of the words over the other, but I love what you're saying about hope being we're doing it because it's the right thing to do. We're doing it because it's the right thing to do. Now, Hugh, you said, well, I hope it does, and then you changed your word and you were using the word hope. Can you explain to us a little bit about why you changed up your word there?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
You said I'm going to do good works, which I hope to see. No. Right. I'm going to do good works because
I wanted to be consistent in the language that I was using and what I was explaining. So I was searching for a different word because
I think that's good.
What happens is we default to a particular language or a way of articulating a thought, even if, and that's habitual. I can talk about hoping for, a nice sunny day tomorrow. That's not really hope, but I use that word anyway because it's just common language.
So maybe
when I dig under it and think about it, then I realize, no, there's another word I could be using because hope really is different than that.
And I think we could use this as a trigger, as something to remind us to think about hope. Is listen for how often the word hope is used, and wonder to yourself, is this the way that I would use the word hope? And maybe it can give us a little reminder to add hope to the world, to add a little extra goodness. Go ahead, Ruth.
I talk about how to cope with hearing loss to audiences. And I never know whether my message is getting through. And then I've had this happen several times. People write me or come up to me and say, you really made a difference in my life. So you don't know sometimes you don't know when you're sharing hope. And think the message that I'm trying to give is do what you can and hope that it makes a difference.
Agreed. We might not know that it does. All of our acts do, but we can stack the deck. I mean, if you do this, contact 2 people who would be delighted to hear from you. I'd be hard pressed to think this is going to not lead to good results.
Yeah.
If it does lead to bad results, I would like to apologize for it. Let me know, and I will apologize in a public forum. We're going to go into small groups so that people have a chance to share with each other their thoughts about hope. Alex is creating small group room. Oh, hold on. We have Ellen. Go ahead before we make small groups, but we are going to go into small groups. Go ahead, Ellen. Ellen, you're on mute, friend.
I think hope really stems from optimism. I think that people who are optimistic in general have an optimistic approach to life, then are able to be hopeful about things. But I think optimism is a more general kind of approach to life, and hope is more specific. Hope, being hopeful about a certain thing. And
Okay.
I think it's hard.
Okay.
I think you're more likely to have hope if you're an optimistic person, if you generally approach life with optimism.
And sometimes that's harder to
Hold
do
that
than
down,
others.
Marge.
Hold on, Jack. You got a rogue microphone. So we're going to go into small groups. I'm going to encourage that everyone in the group do their best to do first-person singular comments, not what one should learn or you will find out about hope. But I found hope here. I lost hope then. I wish hope would do this for me. To keep it as much as we can on ourselves. Alex, are we ready with the small groups?
Yes. Rooms are now open.
And if you want to stay back with me, you are welcome to do that as well. There go the people to the small groups. Bye, people.
I've got to drop, Rabbi. I just wanted to say Shabbat Shalom, and it was so great to see
Shabbat
everybody
Shalom,
today.
Rand. I look forward to seeing you soon.
Yep. See ya. Thank you.
So Rand just did a quintessentially Jewish thing, which is saying goodbye before you leave. I found non-Jews will leave without saying goodbye, and Jews will often say goodbye and not leave. But blah, 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 blah. Okay, so who do I have that's actually live? Is I got Alex on screen with me, Michael. Hi, Michael. And Ruth. Hi, Ruth. And I have a few people who I'm going to hide the non-video people so they don't distract me. Alex?
Yes.
I don't remember how to hide non-video participants. Do you remember that?
I believe it's on the video settings tab.
No.
Under
All right.
advanced. Let me see if I can find it for you.
Oh, I got it. You had to click on somebody who wasn't live video. Okay.
Oh, that's.
Hello, people. Ruth and Michael and Alex. What do you know about hope?
I'm struggling with it right now.
Go, Alex. You said you're struggling with it. Michael, you said.
I think I just mumbled. I'm not very articulate today.
Okay.
I'm like
Maria?
Alex. I'm struggling.
It's struggle. It's hard. It's a struggle to have hope. I mean, it's really. I'm like a quart low.
Yeah.
I'm missing hope. I'm missing it, and maybe that's why I wanted us to talk about it so much. Is I I had it. I've lost it. I guess that's what Emily Dickinson talks about. Hope is the thing with feathers. It flees, it flights, it's fast, it moves. I don't have the hope that I wish I had. I just don't.
I'm discovering merit in a more overt religious practice, and finding it supportive and helping me generate hope in the absence of intrinsic hope. It's like when someone talks about it on the outside in the real formal traditional sense. No, does it soak in? You know, am I learning hope, or am I discovering latent hope? I don't know. But I'm not feeling
hopeless.
Yeah. It's a scale, right? And we slide around.
That's why. So I was saying
Probably
I feel
by
a
the
quart
minute.
low. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I could pass on a little bit from what I've absorbed to you, then send it your way.
I gain hope just from this service being as it is, by seeing people who all are hungry like I am for community, for being seen, for the ability to see other people. It gives me hope. Gives me hope that there are random, that I feel like the palm reader of that story that Carol spoke, but if I have all these people who agree that we all have priority towards love and compassion, that gives me some hope. Gives me something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maria?
No,
you got anything to share? I'm sorry,
I
Michael. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's good. It's good.
I have trouble with the word hope because I don't see it as something active. I see it more like Hugh talked about, the general use of it, I hope tomorrow's sunny, kind of thing. But I am in my Sangha group, where our book that we're studying right now is Active Hope. How to face the mess we're in with unexpected resilience and creative power. And so this one is, this is definitely helping me to see that, it's what we do, right? And it talked about the same thing. We don't do it hoping or expecting to see results or succeeding, that we do it because we need to do it.
The
because
right
it
thing
needs
to do.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
It's a choice. But I think we forget that we can choose.
Charlene's got the answers right there in the
Got
book.
a book. Yes, she went and got a book for us.
If you put it over your face, we'll be able to see the book because the camera focuses on the face. Hold on, it will come in. I have this problem every week. Charlene, you might want to just tell us what the book is.
Blurred
black. Okay, never mind. Tell us what's it say.
After you unmute yourself.
It's called The Spirit of Hope by Byung-Chul Han. It's amazing. I've just started it, so it's really, really good. It's a short little book. This philosopher is amazing.
Can you say the name again of the author?
Yep, his first name, it's Byung-Chul. Last name is Han.
What's the title again, one more time?
The Spirit of Hope.
Yeah. So if I were to ask a straw poll of this small group, is hope something we can choose? Yeah, Jeff, what's up?
I could use a little hope right now. I've been off camera, etc. this morning because I have found out that both my brother-in-laws are in hospitals. And one is in Maryland getting dialysis, and one is in Virginia because he has a really bad case of the flu, but he's got bone cancer.
Oh, God.
Because he has bone cancer, his immune system is all shot. They are both in different hospitals, so I could probably use a little hope right now.
Yeah.
Jeff, do you want me to put their names on the prayer list?
No, thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, we got a minute. Jeff, I don't know that we can give you hope.
There's nothing to be said. It's just, you know, this is, we are now living, I am now living in the one day at a time rule.
Yeah.
You know, that's all I can do.
Sometimes
It's not me, but it's those close to me.
Yeah. Alex, okay, there we go. The 1 minute's going. Jeff, we can't give you hope, but we can give you love.
Thank you. I'm appreciative and grateful.
Yeah. Sorry you got a shitty time right now.
It certainly changed my morning.
Yeah. Yeah. What was the Langston Hughes quote? Hold fast to dreams. Is that about hope? No, that's dreams. But it sounds like hope. Langston Hughes says, hold fast to dreams for when dreams die. Carol, I'm wondering if the Langston Hughes quote about dreams isn't also about hope.
Oh, yeah. Dreams are visions, are belief that we can go on.
Oh, here come.
Hello.
Well, hello, welcome back, people. In a moment, we are going to do prayers of light and love for those who need them. And when we finish that, I'd love to hear back from you of what you learned. Was there an aha moment in your group, something that you could share? But before we do that, let's take a moment for our prayers and thoughts. Maria, you have a list of people as always?
Yes. These are the people to whom we are sending light and love. Ken in Spirit and Joe, Carolyn, Brandon, Flynn, and Porter, Lauren, Brian, Addie, and Lincoln, and the Ludwig and Applebaum families, Sheridan H., Shirley W., Judy Love and her family, Patsy's sister Sue, Lynn S., Greg, Rita S., Tane and Kelly, Emily, Rita W., the transgender community, Bertie K., Alex, Lisa, Bernadette Applebaum, Sam, Avi, Becca, Yuval, Lorena, and Nicole, Jack B. and Sarah Sue B., Debbie F. and Heather J., Aru Lane Hill, Ralph, and Phil Peachtree in spirit. If there is another person in our community to whom we can offer light and love, please put their name in the chat and I will add them to the list on Facebook. And for the people who aren't named, but who are in our thoughts, we send them light and love as well.
Maria, thank you for always handling that for us. It is very appreciated. Let's take a minute of time. All right, let's take a moment, last moment reflections on hope. What did you learn in your small group? What are you taking away from today? I know this is a harder question to answer than it's a higher level thinking question. What are you taking with you today?
Well, I have to think about hope and trust and how those two things go together.
Thank you.
Or don't.
I want to think more about the relationship between hope and faith. How those two intersect.
Mm-hmm.
Michael and Meg, I'd love for you guys to tell us next week what you find out. No pressure. Right. There's religion outside the box. No pressure. You don't have to do it. Someone else. What else are you taking with you? I'm taking the sense of do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It is hard. And you know what? It is hard, and that's why I have to shoulder in. I have to push hard. Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, there's something that came up in the small group that I was reflecting on, which is that to be pessimistic and yet still have hope is maybe an even harder spiritual lift than to be optimistic and have hope.
Yeah.
You get more points.
Yeah, I'm not counting points though, right, Rita?
It's a further distance. Thank you, Al.
Yeah.
I would like to just say one fast thing. I want to thank the people who sent me loving messages over the last couple of weeks. I really appreciate it. And I am in my new home. Different tree.
You've got trees.
Thank you,
That's
Rita.
lovely.
And Rita, I'm going to underscore something that you didn't just say, but is in there. If you weren't here a few weeks ago, Rita asked for help. Rita asked for support. And I'm sure it might not seem to you to be a big deal that Rita asked for support, but imagine you asking for support yourself. It's a very hard thing to do. Sometimes easier to think, oh, yeah, no, they can do that. I can't do that. So, Rita, thank you. If you want to be on the Religion Outside the Box mailing list, there is a Google sheet to fill out, and hopefully we're posting that in the chat. Or also the Caregiver Support Group. If you have not filled out the survey as to when you would like to meet, please look in the chat, and there should be a link that Meg has posted in there. Meg, can I get some acknowledgement? Yes?
Maybe Candace can post the link.
Okay, there
I'll
should be a
post the
link in
link.
there. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for doing that. I do have an announcement. I cannot. This one might shock some of you.
That can't be right.
What does it say?
Thank you for that.
It's okay not to be okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Seriously, folks, it's okay to have a hard time. You can have you can have a hard time and be okay with it. It's okay to not be okay. Kicking your ass for having a hard time is cruel. We don't need to do that. Okay, I'm going to wrap us up. So let's take a look at all the people. Let's do a little wavy thing. And I'm going to stop the broadcast as soon as I find the button. There it is. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for joining.
Bye.